Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Tuesday.
The road to the super
big game
starts again as of yesterday, now that it's all done and over. Most watched Super Bowl ever, with 126 million people in the United States watching, 16.6 million in Canada. Just absolutely staggering numbers. You try to think of that many people, like picture it in your mind. It's difficult. It's difficult. Bolstered, whether anyone likes it or not, by the Travis and Taylor situation. That's why the numbers were extra big. And the people selling ads for the Super Bowl are super thrilled about it, even if all the fans aren't. No proposal in the end zone. That didn't happen. People had their bets on it. Sorry. But it probably would have been awkward after the Eagles won anyway. Not to mention the cringy Jumbotron booing moment where Miss Swift perfectly recreated the side-eye monkey meme. I'm doing it right now. You just can't see it. You just can't see it. That's perfect impersonation, I can tell you right now. But a lot of people speculating as to why the booing happened. Well, probably individual reasons for those who were kind of there right at the start of the boo. But people just join into things, you know. People just want to be a part of it. And I think that a lot of the animosity wasn't so much about the distraction that Taylor Swift brings when she shows up at the games. People, they're watching, but they're not watching and caring about sports like they should. You know, not that. I really think it's because she grew up an Eagles fan and is now cheering for the Chiefs. Is heavy traffic making us heavier? Study finds that traffic is making us fat. I mean, that's the clickbait, that's the thing that gets your attention, sure, but what are they really talking about? It's increased amounts of fast food when traffic is bad, is what it comes down to. The temptation is real. And it seems to be, after looking at 3 years' worth of different data points, like traffic amounts, GPS data, and time of day even being a factor, they figured out that when traffic is heavier, people are more likely to eat that fast food stuff, but especially around dinner time is when you gotta have the best resistance, the biggest shield up if you want to avoid the fast food. If you want to get into it, well, that's the time that it's probably going to happen. But, I mean, we're in a special situation here in Wood Buffalo. We know this. We've got shift work. We've got people driving that commute along the highway to the north and then back down again. You know, it's a little bit different. But I've maintained for quite a while now that if somebody does figure out how to get themselves a plot for a big-ass drive-through along 63 up north, maybe around the bottom of Super Test, I don't know, they'd make a fortune.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
And perhaps the biggest word in Canadian music right now is the shock and upset with what's going on with Buffy Sainte-Marie. Now, this isn't something that was just brand new uncovered. In fact, it was CBC reporting in 2023 that her Indigenous heritage, absolutely a factor in her public identity, as well as accolades, including, you know, receiving some attention in the form of Indigenous awards at the Junos, etc., into question. Because they found a birth certificate from 1941 from Massachusetts and 2 Caucasian parents on there. In fact, family members of hers living in the U.S. have said that she does not have any Indigenous ancestry, nor was she adopted. So, the Order of Canada has now been removed. No longer is it being held by Buffy Sainte-Marie. She, of course, has pushed back, saying really ridiculous things like, it's not about sperm tracking and colonial record keeping, has to do with community culture, knowledge, teachings, and who claims you, etc., saying that it's her truth as she knows it. However, the fact of the matter is that the truth is the truth, whether it's your truth or not. Tenacious D putting together some music once again, putting a cover of REO Speedwagon's Keep On Loving You out there in the form of a fundraiser song on a new compilation album called Good Music to Lift Los Angeles. And it's the first new music since the hiatus that they took after a quip on stage regarding Donald Trump during the campaign to have him elected as the president. And nobody overreacted to it, and everybody was totally normal about it. New study finds that 61% of people say that they would go on a first date on Valentine's Day. Like, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't get I feel like most of the remaining 39% who wouldn't go on a first date on Valentine's Day, you probably just don't want to go on a date on February 14th at all. First, second, third, 69th, whatever, right? It's kind of a busy day out there on the social calendar. We have chosen in the past, me and my significant other, to have that romantic dinner on the 13th for that very reason. Way less crowded with couples, but, I will admit, the people watching isn't as good.
Extended interview.
Joining me here in studio ahead of opening night on Valentine's Day this Friday, some of the people behind The Wizard of Oz, Keanu Theatre Company and Suncourse Center Stage presenting, and not just on Friday, through this weekend as well as next weekend. Hi guys, how's it going?
We're having a great morning.
So who do we have with us? We got director Michelle Thornspear.
Yes,
Last time I saw you was Thorn.
I know. Yeah. I have been married and hyphenated since we last met.
And Alana Nell.
Yes, I'm Alana Nell, and I'm in the ensemble of our lovely little show.
Fantastic. And we've got Sheldon as well, Sheldon Dahl.
Yes, Sheldon Dahl. I play the lion and Zeke, the farmhand.
Very cool, yes. And so there's a lot of people, not just the people that are present in the room that are behind something like this. It takes a whole village. Of course, it's a recognizable name, Wizard of Oz. So people already kind of have an idea of what's going on there. What can people expect?
Yeah, so I think, one of the great things and simultaneously challenges of directing something like The Wizard of Oz, which about 99% of the population have a relationship with,
sure,
is giving the audience what they love about the show. How do you pay homage to the classic characters, the stories, the songs, but also keeping it fresh and making it unique to this particular group? It's strange to try to put on a show where mostly everyone already knows how it ends. So how do we keep them invested? How do we keep them entertained for the 2.5 hours when they know what's going to happen?
Along the yellow brick road.
Exactly, yes.
And like you said, people I'm sure have, preconceived notions with such a familiar story. You're not trying to make a photocopy of the movie or anything like that. It's your own thing.
Absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. And we're really letting the individuals that are working on the show, their own interpretation and artistry shine through, from all of the designers on the show to the cast themselves. So at auditions, I was really interested in seeing people who were able to pay homage to these classic characters, but also bring their own spirit to it as well.
For sure.
So as you said, how do we give people what they want while also creating something that's new?
And it will be familiar because it is based on the classic story, but I did see that it's featuring the music, or some of at least, from the movie. The soundtrack is shared.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So it's all the original songs, including a song that was cut from the film. That's something that I'm really excited for audiences to see, is that this, destroyed footage from the film of a song that most people didn't know existed is going to be in the show. And it's honestly one of the most fun, upbeat, dance choreographed, lighting spectacular numbers in the show.
Yeah.
And it's an act 2, so you got to come back after intermission.
Have you considered just throwing that out the window and putting Dark Side of the Moon on by Pink Floyd?
Well, there actually is going to be a special secret key invite-only production of it.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not on the list, so I don't know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, hang on. What have I signed up for? Going to the players in the room, what's really cool about Keanu Theatre Productions that I always want to champion is that the people that are on stage acting are volunteers, and they're people in our community. They're our neighbors, they're our coworkers and everything. What is it like getting up on stage for you guys?
It's a real rush. You put a lot of work in, like many hours preparing, but then the payoff is you're up on stage, and there's always an immense feeling of reward when you work really hard at something and then you do well.
Yeah.
And then you add on top of that, the audience laughing when you do a joke or gasping when you do some kind of stunt, big applause after a solo. I mean, that's what keeps me coming back and doing live theater.
That sounds like reason enough to me. Chatting with a couple of the actors and the director of Wizard of Oz that's going to start at Keanu Theatre this Friday. Alana, tell us about what it was like for you.
I mean, for me, this is my first Keanu production, so it's been a huge learning curve, but being active in the theater community has improved all areas of my life. I'm better at public speaking, making friendships, and being part of the community, and I don't think people realize that theater can play such a piece in developing who you are as a person. And so I encourage everybody to try it at one point in time. And so I hope that maybe I inspire younger generations by taking that leap and being in a production like this.
Try it for the first time. You don't need to have done it. Everybody has to start the first time somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our music director, our choreographer, our director, all huge in developing those skills for you. They will help you arrive at the place where you can put on a huge production like this.
Everybody wants you to succeed and wants everybody in the audience to have a good time.
Yeah, I just want to throw out there, adding on to what Alana said, if there's anyone listening who did theater in high school or college, come back out, give it a try. I mean, we've got people who have, been 20, 30 years since they were in a show and come back in, and we're a pretty fun group. You should come and come play.
Absolutely. 15-year hiatus for me here.
Well, and I also didn't, it's obviously a play that everybody in the family can come and enjoy, but also a bit of a family affair on stage as well. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you get to perform with one of your family members, right, Sheldon?
Two. I've got
there you go. Wow.
Two of my children in the cast, and they're absolutely killing it. In fact, one played stunt double for me when I was out with the cold. That was somewhat, I'm like, wait, did I just lose my job?
Yeah, stepping into your shoes, you go, hold on a minute, I'm still here. Well, this is really going to be an incredible show, and yes, it does open up on Valentine's Day, so right there, you're thinking date night ideas, but beyond that, it also runs into the weekend and next weekend as well. What's a final thought that you guys want to share for people to grab those tickets and get into those seats?
Yeah, I really believe this is such a enjoyable evening out. There's a lot going on politically in the world. It's freezing right now, and this is an opportunity to come and be warm, connect with your family, with your friends, see some heartwarming inspiration where really the message is to believe in yourself, to trust your friends, and to be cheesy, but there's no place like home. It's just such a great reminder that all we need is really right in front of us.
Yeah, take the 2-hour vacation. Do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's such a treat, too. I think it's really rewarding and reciprocal to see, as you mentioned, all these incredible community members, your own neighbors and colleagues up on stage, having a good time together, sharing the love. And it's impossible to not feel that love as an audience member as well.
Absolutely. Tickets are on sale. So tickets.keano.ca. Of course, if you want to put things into chance, you can, of course, make your way. Follow the yellow brick road to the Keano Theater box office, but I would recommend locking it in ahead of time. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and break legs when it comes to opening night and beyond, starting this Friday.
Wednesday.
Is your workplace about to give you a sanctioned sex day off? Probably not. This is clickbait article stuff, but I guess the idea is there is a movement and more evidence to support the idea that productivity gets a boost when we get busy, when it's business time. You know what I mean? Well, there's about 50% of people from a study/poll who suggested that they have done that during work time. They've played a little bit of hooky to get close with somebody, and that their productivity got a boost as a result afterwards. The self-reporting makes me already scratch my head and question. And then the clarification in the article I was reading goes on to say, well, whether it's actually getting down to business or just taking a day for you to make sure that your mental health and your work-life balance is better, that could be a good... I'm like, then why are we calling it a sex day? It's for the headline, it's for the click, I get it. What we're really talking about is a day off. And yeah, there's tons of movements to get to like a 4-day work week, depending on the industry and, the necessary stuff. It's always funny to read articles like this from here in Fort McMurray, because in a shift working town, that 4-day work week, that just doesn't even make any sense for so many people. The big announcement of nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame down in America for 2025 was revealed, including some major names. We've got the White Stripes on there, Oasis, New Order, Mariah Carey, and really just like a whole ton more. Get the full list online. And as well, it's going to be a while before we actually see who has won, but you get to have your say, as it is kind of a fan vote thing for the induction ceremony that's going to be happening way later, usually in October. There's a big to-do about the Paul McCartney intimate and private show that happened last minute in New York City last night. It was at the venue that only holds 500 people called the Bowery Ballroom, dubbed the Paul McCartney Rocks the Bowery show. It's been 3 years since he was anywhere near New York City, and it wasn't even in the city or even in the state. He was at the MetLife Stadium near New Jersey to a crowd of 82,000 people about 3 years ago. Very different vibes. And there's, of course, new rumors that he might be doing another last-minute announced intimate private show in New York City tonight. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, because none of us are near there. And there's a little bit of beef when it comes to the final show for Ozzy Osbourne and Friends with the Black Sabbath Final Farewell happening in July. A previous collaborator, in fact, a long-time partner of Ozzy Osbourne on his solo career, the bassist Bob Daisley, has said that he's been snubbed from the event. He's not on the list, which includes Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Lamb of God, Mastodon, Alice in Chains, Hailstorm, Gojira, and more. He's saying maybe he doesn't even want to be a part of it, though. In a recent interview on YouTube, he said that it's going to be embarrassing. It'll be awkward. But we'll see. We'll see. We surely will.
Hey, Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
Got to watch Heart Eyes last night. Went out for cheap Tuesday night, and also just because didn't get to go over the weekend. Valentine's Day is this Friday, and there's just busy stuff going on for it, so figured that was the best chance to see it, and I loved it. I mean, it's definitely self-aware and cheesy and schlocky, and it's meant to totally be a kind of a dig at like rom-coms that come out around Valentine's Day, as well as the Valentine's themed horror movies that have come out. We've seen them, like My Bloody Valentine comes to mind first, but this is done by Josh Rubin, who is the guy behind movies like Werewolves Within, Death to 2021, which was a weird Netflix pseudo mockumentary. This one really fuses the genres. The spoiler-free Steve review is that it is a rom-com and it is a slasher horror movie at the same time, and they start to sort of shift between. Then it starts to turn into a blending of the two. Really, really interesting. And decent actors. You've got newer horror movie regulars. Olivia Holt, Mason Gooding. She was in Totally Killer. He was in the Scream movies of late. And then you've got some alums from horror movies gone by, the ones that I was watching when I was younger. Devon Sawa, Jordana Brewster, playing Detective Hobbs and Detective Shaw, respectively. No joke, although, you know, that is the joke. I would recommend. It's definitely worth seeing a couple movie through and through for the Valentine's season. A bit gory, though. If that's not your thing, then maybe skip it and go to see something a little bit more safe, like Love Hurts with Kiwi Kwan.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.